Here we are, guys. Paid or Slay It, episode number 11. Be there or be square. Who says that anymore? Yes, Frontline fans, welcome back to Pay It or Slay It, episode number 11. That's right, guys. This is the video series where I, Mike Spider Slayer, shows you a random of 10 comics of the week, and I help you make that decision if you should pay for the book, kind of not read the book and drop the book, or maybe just completely slay it and tear it up. Now, listen, book's gotta be pretty bad if you tear a book up, because these guys work really hard and put a lot of effort into their books. So I don't like to tear them, but again, that's the show. Pay it or slay it, right? So here we go, guys. Let's not waste any time and let's talk about our first book of the week. And the first one is, and there was a lot of great books this week, guys. So the first one is, bam! The Walking Dead, issue number 167, otherwise known as A Certain Doom. Now, The Walking Dead has been a really slow burn lately, as we've gotten to see Rick and everybody build up this development and their infrastructure and everything else. They've dealt with these whisperers, and it's all led to this massive attack on Alexandria with a whole bunch of walkers. And we wound up seeing in this issue, or in the last issue, Andrea winds up getting finally bit. She is one of the major players in this book. She gets majorly bit, and she makes her way back home to Rick. And basically what this issue is kind of like the swan song for Andrea. We get to see her spend her final moments with Rick, with Carl, and it was a very heartfelt story. This got me very emotional. This character has been with the series since issue 2, and this is issue 167, and she is that rock for Rick. You know, whenever Rick needed advice, that's where Rick would go to, and they made a very strong couple, and Andrea is a strong female supporting character to Rick in it, and she is a beautiful character, and to see her go was really upsetting. So this was a very emotional book. If you guys read The Walking Dead, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. If you dropped off of it and you haven't read it for a while, you don't need to really read anything else. Just read this book. If you care for the character, you're gonna really love what this book stands for. So, in the end, I say no matter what, pay for The Walking Dead issue number 167. It might just make you cry. It did me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Alright, so let's move on to the next book. Our next book is, bam! Spider-Man, issue number 16. Brian Michael Bendis' wonderful masterpiece here. Again, I've said this many times, when it comes to Brian Michael Bendis' Spider-Man, I think this series has potential, but it could be a lot better. We have a new artist on this book. It's called Oscar Basilota. I know I've probably butchered that name, but nevertheless, the artwork in this book is absolutely gorgeous. Black Cat is wonderful looking. The colors in this book are really well done by Justin Ponzer. The facial expressions, the eyes, everything is right there. You feel the emotion from the characters. The paneling and everything and layout was good. That's your positive. We have a good moments in here with Miles' mom about her, you know, being lied to. But the problem is with this book is there's too many like stories going on, and I just feel like since there's so much going on that we can never shut a door on a particular story, and that's Michael Bendis' fault with this series. It's like we have the whole situation going on with Miles' mom about him lying to her. Then we get another story plotline with the Black Cat about them finding some secret goods. Then you get another story in here where we find out that Miles is pissed off, so he winds up going to his bar and beating people up. So what's the ramifications there? We wind up getting another little story with Gold Balls, how he hasn't been using his powers yet. And then we get another story in here where we wind up getting to the end of this book, and we wind up seeing Gank, or however the fuck you say his name, excuse me, where he actually goes to a little YouTube reporter and he starts talking with this girl about Miles and how maybe he could be Spider-Man. Maybe he's going to release that information on accident, and this girl's kind of seducing him for that information. So we get all these little side stories and everything, but nothing ever gets resolved in this book. It's just always at a snail's crawl, and there's no real growth development. It has lots of potential, but it's just, yeah, it's just frustrating that it doesn't ever really go anywhere. So, in the end, guys, I'm going to say slay this book. I say just drop it at this point. It's not really going anywhere. It doesn't really progress the character all that much. I really don't like it. However, since I am a Spider-Man fan, I'm going to continue to read it. You know, if you're a Spider-Man fan and you like reading all the Spider-Man books, you'll probably still read it too, but definitely not on a recommendation in any shape or form. Alright, so let's move on. We're going to talk about, I could tell by the weight of this book how heavy it was, Secret Empire, issue number 1. This book was really well done this time around. Just like the Zero issue, I really enjoyed it. I love the artwork in this book. And we get to see a world that just is all about Hydra, right? Everything's been changed around. The American history books have been changed around. And we get to see Hydra just really taking charge of everything. They're putting anybody that can be a possible threat to them. They're executing them. They found this Inhuman. They captured them. We get Carol that is stuck in the outside. The shield is protecting the Earth. So anybody that's a threat, they're basically eliminated right from the start. There's a lot of players in here in this book. We get to see, I'm trying to remember exactly what happens. We have this specific file that was captured by this kid, and they have this really intense information where it could get Captain America back again. And in the issue, we wind up seeing Captain America dealing with things in his own hands, where he has his own Avengers team that's led by like Superior Octavius Octopus, and we get to see that we have a whole bunch of players on the table that has to do with Hydra that may not trust Captain America's leadership in the book. And the big reveal in this issue was that we have Rick Jones that provided that information to that kid on that hard drive or that USB drive or whatever it was. And we wind up seeing Rick Jones get executed in this book. And you're just like, holy crap. And then you wind up seeing a whole bunch of like ships level down Las Vegas, where we get the rebellion is there trying to go against Captain America. And it just seems like all is lost. So really great issue here. Really nice story. I just hope that this book can continue the momentum that it started with its Zero issue and in this first issue. So, in the end, I gotta say, with Secret Empire, guys, I say pick it up. Definitely worth the read at this point. Issue 0 piqued my interest. Issue number 1 wants me full on board with this event to see how it progresses going forward. Alright, so next book we're going to be talking about is, bam, Green Lanterns, issue number 22. This is a really nice issue. This book gets back on track here. We're not dealing with Dr. Polaris or anything like that. In this particular issue, we wind up seeing Jessica and Baz, where they get this emergency thing where it transfers them to Mogo. And we get to see Jessica like freak out for a minute, and she's like, Ring, stop. She's like, I don't know what's going on. And she winds up coming face to face with Kyle Rayner in this book, which I thought was really a lot of fun, because Kyle Rayner is like my favorite Green Lantern. And I was like, man, this book would be so much better. I like this book, but it would be so much better if Kyle Rayner was like her mentor, or she teamed up with her, and it would be so great. So he kind of shows her the ropes, brings her back to Mogo, shows the planet, and shows the entire Green Lantern Corps, and you get to see all the different Corps members. You get to see how the team has teamed up with the Sinestro Corps. So really, it kind of gets you caught up if you haven't been reading Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps. Kind of gets you on that same page of what's going on with them. Kilowog is in this issue. He's like real intimidating to Jessica Cruz. And then we wind up seeing that she gets her lantern taken away, and she has to go through this rigorous training, just like all the other Green Lanterns did. Even though she's done a few different types of missions and held her own, they want to hold her to a higher standard, which I thought was was good. They're training the character. So also in this issue, you wind up seeing that Volthoom character who is in a Guardian's body. He's trying to trick them and whatnot. And so by the time we wind up getting to the end of this issue, we wind up seeing that, yes, they're going to go through this training, and I did not get my actual dream where I wanted Jessica and Raynor together, but we got Jessica and Guy together, and you got Simon Baz and Kyle Rayner together. And so I think what it does is that these characters are two polar opposites of each other, so it's going to teach Jessica how to, you know, step up a little bit more and be more assertive, and Kyle is going to take Simon and be a little bit less assertive, so they're kind of balance each other out. So I really liked how this book went, and I like the direction it's going now. So yeah, guys, if you're not reading Green Lantern and the Green Lanterns right now, I definitely say pick this book up. I think it's definitely worth it, and it's heading back in a positive direction. Alright, so let's see what book we're going to talk about next. The next one is, bam! Batman, issue number 22 with the lenticular cover, as you can see there. Batman in Reverse Flash, or Thomas Wayne in the Reverse Flash. So this book was good as well. I think we get to see how this story, they go into Flashpoint. Why they're in Flashpoint, why they're being directed to Flashpoint, why it's still open. It obviously has to do with the button, but we're not really too sure. And what happens in this issue is you get to see Bruce, who actually comes together with his father, and we get to see a very vulnerable Bruce in this issue, where he wants his father to come with him when they go to leave Flashpoint. And it was funny because in the beginning it was like Thomas Wayne looked like he was going to explode the Batcave and commit suicide, but take the Atlanteans and the Amazons with him. But that's when he winds up coming face to face with Bruce and whatnot, and they wound up fighting and doing all this stuff. But yeah, it was a very emotional issue when it comes to the father and son, and we haven't really seen Bruce this vulnerable in so long. And then by the time we wind up getting to the end of this issue, we wind up seeing the Flash come, or we see the Reverse Flash kind of pass him up in the Speed Force, and he has this button in his hand. So it's like, oh, are they going to follow him now to the point where he just about died? So this was a fantastic issue as well. I don't think it may have progressed the story as much as I would like it to, but it was pretty cool to see how they just got rid of Flashpoint, and seeing those father-son moments between Bruce and Thomas Wayne were really interesting. So if you're not reading the Button series, I definitely say pick up Batman issues number 21 and 22 and Flash issue number 21. Alright, so let's move on to the next book, and we're going to talk about XMen Gold. That's right, guys. Issue number 3. This is the conclusion to the whole Brotherhood thing, where we see the X-Men fight the Brotherhood. It's called Back to the Basics Part 3. And this issue was cool because we get to see them go to the place where Logan was captured, and we get to see really Kitty Pryde lead this team into victory. And I thought that those moments were really good. It shows you how strong of a leader that she is. And we get to see them, some of the younger X-Men fight alongside with our XMen Gold characters as well. And again, the thing that stood out in this book was Kitty Pryde, how she went back for Amara, even though she was part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, she knew that she was being manipulated by Maresmo in the book. So it was really good to see Kitty sacrifice herself, and they wound up getting her back, and then by the end, they wound up confronting that Lydia Nance character who's like the mutant bigot that doesn't want the mutants to be around, and they just kind of like threaten her, and Kitty's just like, she's like, okay, now we're threatening you. And she walks away and she turns her back and she goes, you know, the Lydia Nance goes, you're pathetic and you're naive. Who do you think you are after all? And Kitty Pryde just turns her back and she's like, we're the X-Men. That's right. And that's how this issue ends. And so I thought it was a lot of fun. It really was a basic and simplistic issue and a good introductory story to these characters. So I'm interested to see now in this next story arc where this team goes, how the characters develop in here. And so this was a lot of fun. So if you guys have not read X-Men Gold at this point, I say definitely, guys, pick this up. You'll definitely enjoy it. Alright, next book we're going to talk about is, bam, Iron Fist, issue number 3. This book was really well done. Still in this same story arc where we see Danny Rand, who he is in this tournament where he has to defeat all these creatures, or not these creatures, these fighters from this land, and he tries to absorb their chi, but these fighters want to defeat him so they can become stronger than his place, Kaolan, and whatnot. So what I like about this book is the tournament aspect. I love the fighting. The dark artwork is fitting for the tone of this book, and we get to see Danny. He fights this rat of 12 plagues. He pretty much handles that guy no problem. And so in this other part of this issue, we wind up seeing him fight this other guy who's got these no arms, and so he just like, he's like losing to this guy who just kicks the shit out of him with his feet. And we found out that this guy was from Kaolan too, but he fought this guy called the One, and he ripped off his arms. And so you can see that Danny and this one fighter, this snake fighter, had a lot in common. And but Danny beats this guy too and absorbs his chi. They were really civil with each other. But then we wind up getting to see this council where this guy Chosen sends out his people to set up Danny to lose. Because they want to be like the strongest land and they want to absorb his chi. So it was really a lot of cool dialogue, and we get to see now how the cheating is involved, how they want him to lose and whatnot, and it's not going to be this honorable fight as we much thought. But what's so great about this book, again, is the action, is the fighting, and once again, they come up with all these crazy names for these moves, like Eastern Tiger Snake Kick, Stingray Punch, Saw Scaled Viper Knee Strike, and it's just like Cobra Kai Leg Swipe. I wonder if they got that from like Karate Kid. So they got all these cool little fighting styles and names and stuff like that. So I love seeing that. It just kind of gets you involved with all the fighting. So great stuff. So definitely, guys, if you're not reading Iron Fist, I say pick it up. Iron Fist 3 with loads of action, and now we get to see the plot twist happen as you read this book. So, alright, let's move on to the next book. The next one is, bam, oh boy, Bane Conquest, issue number 1. Yes, this book is just rough. Yeah, it's like we get to see Bane and his little cronies go after this ship that was supposed to be going to, I guess, drop off weapons, and then they were supposed to, then there was this other ship that intercepted it, and they were stealing Bane's weapons, and he's having this like conniption fit because they're stealing his stuff, and he's just like taking a shower, and he's like, oh, they steal everything from me, including my teddy bear, and he looks back at his teddy bear, and he's just like, oh, but not you. He's like, they're not gonna take you. And so like he goes to Gotham, and he tries to find this certain guy, and he's trying to get this information, and he kills this guy anyway, and it's just so dumb. It's just like there's no real plot. And the thing is this book is 12 issues long. I was bored to hell by like after issue number 2. This book was absolutely horrible. I was just like, they arrested the guy, and they're just like, it was just dumb. Like, this is the plot? Like, based off of them stealing Bane's shit? Yeah, I mean, and you're gonna have this whole story? Like, where is this gonna lead to? This was bad, man. Oh my god, guys. I say, definitely slay this book. Tear it up. This is not the book you're looking for. Destroy it. Worst book of the year. One of them so far for me. Ah, oh my god. Garbage can for you, Bane. Garbage can for you. Yeah. Not reading that one anymore. Let's move on. Guardians of the Galaxy, all new, all different, issue number 1. That's right, guys. Supposedly, the next great galactic adventure starts right here. That's what this book claims. So, what do I think about it? I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't a bad book, but it wasn't like the greatest. I just thought that the artwork for me is just a little bit off. The book has, you know, the last series with Michael Bendis maybe wasn't the best written book, but the artistic side of it was really nice. And for me, it's going to take some time to get used to the way Rocket and Star-Lord and Drax and everybody is drawn in this book. But it did have its moments. They pretend that they're Galactus, of all things, so they can steal something. And so they steal this little pocket universe, and they bring it to this character by the Grand Master. And so the Grand Master double crosses them and says, you know what, you have to steal something for the Collector. And so Gamora gets all pissed off. She tries to attack this guy. And then by the end he says, you know what, I understand, you're pissed off, you want to kill me. But he's like, I can make you rich. So they're going to go after the Collector. They're going to steal something from the Collector. And by the time we get to the end of this book, we wind up seeing that Groot is not growing. He's kind of just this baby Groot this whole entire time. And we see this mysterious character, this hooded character growing, which looks like a whole bunch of Groots. Like, he's going to create this Groot army. And that's how the book ends. Now, the big thing about this book is the character change. Drax is different. He's like this monk. He meditates all the time. Gamora is self-centered. We wind up seeing baby Groot is just a baby. And Star-Lord doesn't really change that much. So the characters are a lot different, like personality-wise. They've gone through a lot of changes ever since like the Civil War. So they're going through stuff, which I can appreciate because I felt like Michael Bendis didn't do enough character growth. So let's hope that these characters are just going through their thing and trying to grow a little bit, but not change them too much, because that's what makes Guardians so great, right? So this was good. I just wasn't like blown away by it. And there was a lot of great comic books this week that really impressed me. And I was a little disappointed at this one because I thought this would be more of an elite level, especially with the movie coming out this week. So I'm going to definitely give this one a try. Might need some time to develop. So I'm going to say, pick it up, guys. Pick up Guardians of the Galaxy issue number 1. Give it time to develop. Let's see what happens with it. Alright. Next, we're going to talk about, bam, Jean Grey, X-Men. Just Jean Grey. There's no X-Men in there. It's just the next book. So Dennis Hopeless is writing Jean Grey. And I'm happy about this because Spider-Woman's over. So this is his next project, right? So I'm like, I'm going to definitely give this a try. He wrote Spider-Woman so well. And with this issue, I thought he did a nice job at explaining who Jean Grey is, where the old Jean Grey came for, and explaining how this younger Jean Grey is not the old Jean Grey. And so I thought he did a nice job at explaining that and introducing us to who young Jean Grey is. And I felt like this was the best character development or introductory to the character since she's been introduced in the Marvel Universe. All we really know from the young Jean Grey is that she's just been misplaced in time. You know, she's just from the past and now she's here in the future. But you never really get any character growth out of here. And right from the start, I feel like Dennis Hopeless is going to get that character growth that we've all been looking for. So she winds up fighting the Wrecking Crew. And you wind up seeing how strong a telepathic or telekinesis type of character really is. And we get to see that she can go into people's minds, flip cars, give them migraines, see horror stories, make things laugh, and you get to see all that. So it really dives deep into her power set, and I really appreciated that. And so by the time we wind up getting to the end of this book, we wind up seeing that they're going into the Phoenix Force side of things, or the Phoenix side of things. So I don't know how this is going to really affect her, but I really loved how they introduced the character here. So if you guys are interested in learning more about the young Jean Grey, I say definitely pick up Jean Grey issue number 1. I think Dennis Hopeless is going to do a wonderful job here. He's done a lot of great things, you know, over the years, like I think Avengers Academy and Avengers Arena, and he's done the Spider-Woman, and now he's doing this, and he did the X-Men book. So I think this is going to be a really great story. So definitely, guys, pick this book up. All right, last but not least, the final book of the day, we're going to talk about, bam, Superman, issue number 22. Now, the key thing about Superman in this issue is the artwork changed in it. We have the other artist that does it, and personally, I like the artwork so much better in this particular issue. It's not so, like, inky, and it doesn't have, like, these big eyeballs. And I'm trying to find who actually wrote the artwork in this book, but I can't find the titles page or the introductory page on here. But nevertheless, the person's name is Monarchy. I couldn't even say it anyway. One of the coolest covers of the week, too. I got the one with John sitting there. He's all pissed off, and there's blood pouring from his fist, and he's got his X-ray vision. His heat vision is going to go off. So anyway, this book is like a Lois issue, okay? And so Lois is finding out that Batman's missing, and Superman and everybody else, they're all missing, they're all gone. So she's trying to find out where they're all at. She sees this burning tree. She goes to Mr. Cobb's house, and she's like, Mr. Cobb, you see Clark? You see, John? You seen anybody? It's like, no. She's like, it's just trees burning? He's like, yeah, I was just about to go out there. And she's like, okay. He's like, I called the fire department. All right, fine. They're a bunch of liars. There's something going on in this town, and you see Lois really investigate this town now. She figures out that this town is a bunch of lies, and Superman and everybody else are being watched. And we wind up finding out now that the town knows, and they're waiting for her at the house when she winds up going back to the house. And she's like, holy shit, what's going on? So she winds up being surrounded by the people that are in the town. They're going to capture her. She winds up going under her bed. She opens up that briefcase, and she winds up getting the Hellbat gauntlet, and she starts shooting people. And it's like, oh, damn. I'm like, she's going all off. And then she tries to escape. And then when she escapes, these people are made of some, like, that black ink or whatever it is, because this guy gets fried, and he's like, it's stronger than I thought. And so the Batmobile winds up coming on, and she's like, huh, okay. So she winds up getting in the Batmobile, and since she's wearing the gauntlet, it acknowledges her, and she starts driving. So she drives and drives and drives, and then it winds up like coming apart on her because Mr. Cobb is standing there, and he winds up taking apart the Batmobile. So at the very end of this issue, we wind up Soups. He finally hears like this humming sound, and he finds out, and he does all this investigation, and he finds out that he sees like Batman in a tube, he sees Damian in a tube, he sees all these other people in tubes. So what is this? So what's going on here? It's like this big mystery. The whole town is a bunch of like fake wannabe ink-like creatures. So I was like, man, this is some great mystery. This book was awesome. I really loved it. I love the artwork. I love Lois, how resourceful she is, and she's such a badass in this book. And it was a great book. So I say definitely pick up Superman issue number 22. This story has been really well done. So there you have it, guys. There is Pay It or Slay It episode number 11. Now it's your turn in the comments below to tell me which books you want to pay, which books you wanted to slay. And fans, as always, thank you for watching Comic Frontline. It's so greatly appreciated. Don't forget to check out our live show each and every Tuesday night, which is actually tonight, because when I'm recording this is Tuesday, and it's a special show tonight where we're going to have Colin Bunn on here, as we're going to talk about his new series, Regression, and maybe even some of his older stuff as well. So if you guys have a chance, please tune in. We're going to probably start around 9:30, 9:45, maybe 10 o'clock. We're always all over the board. And guys, greatly appreciate it. And as always, thank you for watching. And this is Mike Spider signing off. I'll see you guys real soon. Bye.